had someone contact me. Whoa, that's loud. Really? Yeah, that's fine. Maybe that's just because I always start this sentence really loud. I had someone contact us on the We Are DB podcast Instagram, which I highly recommend going check out. And it was basically a 30-day film challenge. And you would post a post once a day for a month. And I think the user was Silver Screen Addict. So shout out to them. And they challenged me to do a 30-day film post. Basically, you answer a question every day with a post showing off a film that answers the question, basically.
Okay.
And I guess we failed the challenge because I didn't really accept it. The content that we do on Instagram isn't exactly that sort of stuff. Maybe we could do it in the story. But I highly recommend still checking out We Are DB Instagram. I don't know how to plug this any better.
Yeah, it's just, what's our tag? It's We Are DB Film Podcast.
Yeah, at We Are DB Film Podcast on Instagram. You can see cool snippets and trailers and stuff on there. Basically just a way to remind you that there's an episode out this week. And there's some really cool art and stuff that we do. Yeah,
see Brenton's really awesome graphic design skills. Go check it out.
So I thought these questions are they're pretty cool. So we're going to make a little discussion about them now. And I think it's interesting we'll just talk about these questions rather than putting posts on Instagrams or anything.
# bonus content.
Yeah. So the first one, day one, your favorite film. What would you say your favorite movie is?
Tangled.
You said you really like Arrival?
Actually, yeah, I was going to say, we watched Tangled the other day, and I was sad to see that it didn't have exactly the same uplifting effect that it always does. That made me really sad.
Well, you've seen the animated TV series since watching it again. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, that might have played.
How many times have you seen Tangled? Dozen?
A lot. Can I answer this with a few different ones? I mean, I like them for different reasons. So,
yeah.
For high concept, I love Arrival. I think it's the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. For needing to kick back and have a snuggly day, Tangled, 110%. Or some other Disney movie, but I can't think of another one. Tangled and Nemo, Finding Nemo are kind of, Tangled's
the best animated ones, yeah.
Yeah, they're up there for ones I like to kick back and just watch.
Okay. I would say my favorite film, that's an interesting one, because again, I have a bunch of titles in my head for different reasons. Shawshank's definitely up there. I really like that.
Forrest Gump is also up there for me.
Okay, yeah.
For a feel-good, let's just watch it on a Sunday afternoon, Forrest Gump.
The last time I watched it, not Forrest Gump, the last time I watched this was, I basically said to myself, you know what, I think this is my favorite movie of all time. And it was James Cameron's Titanic, which surprised me because that's a great film, but my favorite film, seriously. And we will be doing an honorable mention for that because of that reason. And because it's the biggest film, since sliced bread, basically.
Well, or it was for a long time until Endgame came along, apparently. But whatever.
So I was surprised to think that Titanic is, but I will talk about it a lot more on that episode. But I really like Titanic. I think it's a great story. It's well written. I love the scale of the budget. And I love more than anything, the historical accuracy down to every little detail.
I can see why you do, because it hits all the notes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
I think it deserves exactly what it got.
Yeah, it's not just it ticks off, we had this. It does it well on all the notes. So
there's just a lot of people out there that it's just Titanic, it's fine, it's overrated. And I'm like, I don't know if it is, though. I love Titanic. That's probably one of my favorite films of all time.
I'm excited. I'm just feeling the urge to talk about it now, but I'm going to hold it in for that episode.
Titanic.
There's just there's a lot we can talk about. Would you like to write
down anything now?
Maybe just that I have a lot of respect for that film because I've seen the bonus content, in that I have even more respect for Lord of the Rings because I've seen the behind the scenes bonus content. I recommend doing that for a lot of high budget movies. You're going to appreciate them so much more if you see what actually went into making them. as someone who watches a lot of movies, I highly recommend doing that because it gives you, like, we even did that for Toy Story, and it gives you a lot of perspective into why some of the choices were made, and it can change your opinion from being like, I don't like that choice, to, wow, that was the best choice to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it completely gives that perspective.
Yeah, do that.
I'd really like to do that with the Godfather movies because I really think it'll make you appreciate it more. And we have so many extra discs because I've got the extended restoration box set. And there's a whole extra bunch of discs there that we should.
I would love to see an interview with Brando because I haven't seen.
I imagine he's on there.
Yeah, I would too. I haven't seen any of his other stuff. I don't know. I know he's well known. I don't know what he's well known for.
I don't think I've ever seen another Marlon Brando movie.
Yeah, which is, like, that's what I mean. It's saying something. So I'd like to know, this is all I know him for. I know that that's not how he actually looks or how he actually talks. So I'd like to know how he does. Why did you decide to do this the way, why did you decide to play the character the way you did? All that kind of stuff. Okay. Question 2.
What was the last film you watched? Which, my immediate reaction, because we just finished recording It's a Wonderful Life, is we watched It's a Wonderful Life like 2 days ago. But we actually watched Captain America last night.
Yeah, we did.
I completely forgot about that. Captain America, the first Avenger, the first one, because we're watching through the MCU. You have never seen them before. I actually surprisingly like Captain America. This is like the 3rd or 4th time I've seen this. I like that movie. Yeah. It's a good movie.
So we talked about it a little bit last night. We'll talk about it more in the Marvel extra content episode that we put out in, like, fucking, I don't know how long, a long time from now. I was surprised at how much I liked this movie because, again, not knowing a lot about pop culture around comic book culture, I didn't realize that Captain America was a pre-existing thing. So when it came out in, what year did it come out?
2011.
I thought it was the US being up their own ass and making a new comic book character.
I mean, they were back in the 40s, though.
But that makes more sense. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This is dumb. So that was what I went into it thinking it was. And then I realized, I mean, over time, I realized, oh, this was like a character created for war propaganda and raising spirits. So, you know, more leniency there.
But when it was came really out, you thought it was a new thing.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, but I really quite enjoyed it, and I'm noticing a trend. I'll just say this here now, and not say much more, but I'm noticing a trend among the superhero movies that I watch, because I've always kind of been into superhero movies. I like the ones more that could actually happen in real life.
Well, we discussed that also on the episode on Dark Knight, episode 4, because
that's what I was
Dark
gonna
Knight
say.
Is filmed in such a way to make it seem like it's in reality. And we spoke about the first Iron Man in that one as well.
Well, the technology could exist.
Yeah,
you know
and
they
don't get too supernatural.
No, exactly. That's why I'm like, we also watched Thor this week.
The one before it, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, but I didn't like it because I'm like, you're switching between small town New Mexico and Asgard. I'm like, this is
it's very cartoony in that way.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit like, pick New York or somewhere, but like the middle of bumfuck nowhere, New Mexico.
I think
you know
that
what I mean?
Feels more realistic because these things are always in New York, and I can guarantee you that the MCU is going to put its time into New York. So a little bit outside of New York is going to feel refreshing.
Yeah. Anyway, like, that's why I like The Dark Knight. That's why I like Iron Man. And part of the reason I think I really liked Captain America is because it was set in World War II.
Yeah, I liked it.
Like, that was just a refreshing switch.
There's some good actors in that movie. I forgot how much. Also, everyone in this is, like, sexy as hell, including Tommy Lee Jones.
He's getting a bit old in this one. I've seen him look better in other ones, but...
Seriously, though, Chris Evans is fucking huge. There's obviously all the women in this. Natalie Dormer. Oh. And then there's, like, even Sebastian Stan, his friend Bucky. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. I'm like, am I the only guy looking at it like this? He's a good-looking guy.
I felt bad for Bucky's character, because in the beginning, like, he was the hot stuff, and then he's, like, Pipsqueak next to...
Yeah.
next to
You've probably seen
Steve Rogers.
Sebastian Stan's actually been taking off in the last 5 years or so. He was in The Martian. You might not remember. He was Margot Robbie's love interest in I, Tonya.
Really? Oh, you're right. He was too.
Yeah.
I hated that character. He was a Weasley little bastard. I think shows how good of an actor he is, though.
Yeah. I think he's getting a lot more credit now, but back in 2011, everyone was like, who?
Yeah. Okay, next question.
What is your favorite action-adventure film?
Action-adventure film?
I really like the Mission Impossible movies for action. I would say that that's action-adventure, and it's mostly, it's because of the stunts and things, but Tom Cruise doing his own shit. But I think they're still good movies. They're very fun. They're crazy in realistic, fun ways.
I like and have always liked Indiana Jones and Treasure Planet.
And I think that those movies are getting better with every installation.
Yeah.
Except the second one. That was easily the worst.
Yes, it was terrible.
So would you count
Fuck the mask.
Treasure Planet as an action-adventure film? That's an animated Disney.
So, it's still action and adventure.
Okay.
It's not live action,
and what was
but
the
it
other one?
doesn't have
Indiana
to be
Jones.
live action. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I was going to say, I don't like any of the Indiana Jones movies. I think they're
Difference
so
of
overrated.
Opinion.
It is. It absolutely is. And I think the reason why those things are held in such high regard these days is nostalgia. I really think it's just nostalgia. People loved Harrison Ford.
I've always liked movies that I'm like, fuck, that must have been fun to film. Anything like that. Yep. So like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, like Star Trek.
Star Trek, those would have been fun to do.
You know what I mean? Like anything that's like outlandish,
I do love those reboot movies of the Star Trek. Just action adventure.
I was thinking about those ones, the new ones.
They're very well done.
I'm just trying to think, like, what are some other ones where it's like just ridiculous costumes and, well, not necessarily ridiculous, but just like I'm thinking
you can
something where, like maybe like Sparta or something where you're just, you're just dressed in, and they'd say cut, and then you'd go whip out your phone and you're either an alien or a gladiator or whatever, and just it's just silliness to think about. You know what I mean? I've always liked stuff like that. Give me
so
1
your
second.
answer is Indiana Jones?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. My computer's dying, and I didn't bring my cable down because I didn't think we would be talking this long. All right, hold on.
And Indiana Jones is very adventure. Like, you couldn't get more adventure than Indiana Jones.
I also just want to say, I think it's cool how I finally have a repertoire of movies to pick from so I can have meaningful conversations like this.
Yeah, because I asked you what's your favorite film in the very first introduction to this podcast, and you're like, movies, I don't know, Tangled. Like, that's all you said.
Yeah.
Day 4, a movie you think was snubbed for Best Picture. See, you wouldn't really understand this unless you know what
nominated.
has won Best Picture, but know what it was up against as well. My go-to answer is Saving Private Ryan. I think that absolutely should have got Best Picture that year. What actually won it was Shakespeare in Love, which I have seen, and it's fine. Not Best Picture. Come on.
I thought, what was up against Life is Beautiful? There were like 3 really good ones in there that year.
That was actually the same year as Saving Private Ryan. So Best Picture that year would have been Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, because it got Best Foreign Language Film.
It got Foreign Language Film that year, yeah. I don't know what else it was up against.
They were up in there for Best Actor. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's bullshit. I'll go with that.
And another go-to is Crash from 2005. Crash is fine, not Best Picture. It's basically a movie just highlighting how people can be racist to each other. I've seen that a couple of times, and there's not really much else to it. and I think Brokeback should have got it that year.
Okay, I'll go with that too. I love Brokeback Mountain. Like, I had never seen it, and that for me, we've talked about this. I think we talked about it a bit on that episode. I have a really hard time with movies that emote in me emotions that I have felt really strongly in the past connected to certain people. So this movie I loved, but was so incredibly difficult for me in the same way that A Star is Born, the new reboot, was.
Which you mentioned in the episode. I'd recommend listening to it. That's why we did it as an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through... What were you going to say?
Just hold on one sec. I'm just going to go say I'll agree with you on both of those counts because I am not educated enough on the Academy Awards to give a good
well, that's why
answer.
I'm about to go through... I'll go through the Best Pictures winners for the last 30 years or so, and we'll just have a very brief discussion as to whether or not we think it deserves it. So last year, 2018, was Green Book. I don't know anything about it. I heard it was good. I heard it was good. I don't know what else it was up against that could have been possibly won it. Star is Born was up there as nominated. Roma apparently is amazing from Alfonso Cuarón, and I love his work. But I don't know anything about Green Book. The year before that was The Shape of Water. Again, I haven't seen it, but it looks strange. But I don't know what else could have. It was what nominated was Lady Bird, The Post from Steven Spielberg, Three Billboards is very good. Dunkirk, Darkest Hour.
That was a good year.
That was a good year, wasn't it? It's got Call Me By Your Name.
Three Billboards was fucking amazing.
Phantom Thread by Paul Thomas Anderson. Get Out.
What's her name? Missy something?
Who? From Three Billboards?
Who plays... Yeah.
Frances McDormand?
Yeah, her.
Yeah, I love her. I think she won it that year.
I've seen her... She did win it. She did win Best Actress.
And so did Sam Rockwell for that same movie.
I've seen her in a few different things. She plays, like, she's typecast as that character because she plays it so fucking well. And it's interesting because I don't think she swears very much in real life. Like, as a person.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know her as a person.
I don't know. She's a really great actress.
So maybe last year, Shape of Water. I haven't seen Shape of Water, so I can't really make a thing. But there's a lot of contenders up there. I wouldn't say that anything got snubbed. Like, we're talking about ones that it's like, well, obviously they didn't deserve it. So that's the ones we're looking for. The year before that was the controversial Moonlight movie. This is actually a year that I watched every single one of them before the awards season.
Was that 2015?
2016. So there was Moonlight, Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, or Manchester by the Sea. Now, I didn't really think Moonlight deserved it, but I don't really know what else could
that
be
was
up
the
there.
year where they said La La Land, but it wasn't.
Maybe La La Land Best Picture, but I don't know. I didn't really like Moonlight. I wouldn't say anything got snubbed, though. Hell or High Water was very good. Maybe Arrival. That didn't get any fucking awards. Amy Adams has never won an Oscar.
That is ridiculous.
That's a snub.
Yes. I'm going to say I'm biased, but Arrival should have got awards because that movie had amazing cinematography and an amazing concept and very good on-screen chemistry between the two lead actors. Like, that's me being objective. Also, it was fucking amazing, so fuck you, Academy.
The year before that was Birdman by Alejandro Inarritu. Probably deserved it. I'm going to say the year before that was 12 Years a Slave.
But 2015 was also a really good year.
2015. I skipped over 2015. Sorry, there was Spotlight, which won it. I haven't seen it still.
Spotlight was really good. There was a bunch. There was Spotlight, The Big Short, The Danish Girl, Brooklyn.
No, The Danish Girl wasn't nominated for Best Picture. There was The Revenant, Room, The Martian, which was incredible, Mad Max Fury Road, and Brooklyn. Man, that is a good year.
I was going to say, 2015 is the only year I remember because I went to a lot of movies that year because everything was good.
See, I feel like if I watched Spotlight, I'll be like, yeah, fair enough. Any one of these would be great.
They were all very good.
Okay, yeah. I wouldn't say anything got snubbed.
And The Danish Girl.
Oh, yeah, which I think it won a few awards in its own categories. So back to 2012, we got Argo, directed by Ben Affleck, won it. And it was up against Life of Pi, Lincoln, Silver Linings Playbook, Django Unchained, Zero Dark 30. Yeah, that wasn't a great
Life of Pi was overrated.
Well, they're all good, not great. Every one of those titles that I just said.
Good.
I think it's good visually.
Is amazing.
It shouldn't have been nominated for Best Picture, but I think it was an alright movie.
I don't think
the year before that was The Artist we were talking about, and that was up against Moneyball, which I don't like. Moneyball, fuck that movie. There was Warhorse, also fuck that movie. Tree of Life, I've never heard of. The Help maybe is the closest one.
The Help,
but I haven't seen The Artist. I haven't seen The Artist. The year before that, 2010, you've got The King's Speech. That was up against The Fighter, which is very good.
Is that what it won? Is that what won?
Yeah, The King's Speech won it that year for Best Picture.
It was also Inception?
Yep. Fighter, Black Swan, True Grit, Social Network. Maybe The Social Network. Social Network's very good.
I was going to say, that's a pretty good year. Between The King's Speech and Inception, that's a toss-up because they're both very good, but for different reasons.
See, again, I don't think that would be a snub, though.
No.
It's like, yeah,
have you seen The King's Speech?
Yes. I watched it long after it came out.
It is very, very good for the performances. Inception is very, very good for the cinematography. So it's touch and go.
Which I think they won. I'm pretty sure people
won in those respective categories. Yeah.
It's interesting because in 2010, Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture, which is interesting because I think it won it for Best Animated Feature. Why would you have an animation in this category?
Yeah.
Like, you have a category just for that. I don't know.
Are we actually going back 30 years?
Well, I didn't think it would take so long. I didn't think we were going to actually break it down. Okay. Well, I'm going to mention... We got The Hurt Locker, which I don't think anything was snubbed. Slumdog Millionaire. No. No Country for Old Men, I think absolutely deserved it. The year before that, you got The Departed. They deserved it. Crash, I don't think so. $1 Million Baby. Looking at the nominations, I don't think so. Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, which is an interesting pick.
That fucking deserved it.
I think that absolutely deserved it. Chicago was up against The Pianist and The Two Towers. Maybe. I quite like Chicago, but a lot of people don't like that movie. So maybe The Pianist or Two Towers got snubbed. Beautiful Mind. That's the movie. That's the movie I said. I fucking hate this movie. I've seen it 2 or 3 times. This is Ron Howard directing, Russell Crowe with Jennifer Connelly. With, what's his name? Paul Bettany or Pat Bettany or whatever the fuck his name is.
I've never seen it. This is the one where he's the schizophrenic professor.
Yes, it's based on a true story.
I want to see it.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I've seen it 2 or 3 times. I've tried to give it to it, and it's boring as hell. And I think it's in the top 100, and I'll rip it an arsehole because I don't like it, and I'll break down exactly why I don't like it. That's the movie where I think something like The Fellowship of the Ring probably could have won it there. It was nominated, definitely. Moulin Rouge came out that year. And then you got Gladiator back to the year 2000, so... Again, I don't like Gladiator. I don't like Gladiator at all. You've got Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Chocolat, Erin Brockovich, and Traffic, which I didn't like Traffic, but...
Erin Brockovich and Chocolat came out in the same year?
Yeah.
I really liked Erin Brockovich. And
you like Chocolat as well.
Well, that's weird because I was the only child I knew. I've seen that movie probably 30 times.
Which one?
Chocolat.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's something that I watched with my auntie all the time, and I liked it because it was sophisticated and I was a bit of a weird child, and also because I think I just liked the visuals of the chocolate. Like, I downloaded the soundtrack and everything. I'm right into it. I know I could recite a lot of the lines to you.
Here's another one that might be up for being a snub. It was The English Patient from 96. I think Fargo or Jerry Maguire should have got that one.
I've never seen any of them, so again, no.
See, Shawshank Redemption was nominated, but it was lost over Forrest Gump. See, both of those, I wouldn't say. They're very good.
Yes. Brenton?
Yes?
I'd like to be done going through time.
Okay, yeah. I'm just curious now.
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves won it over Goodfellas and Godfather Part 3. The Godfather Part 3 and Goodfellas came out in the same year. I
think Dances with Wolves deserved it over both of those because I've seen all 3 of those movies.
Fair enough.
And
that's back 30 years.
I would just like to say why, though. Like, Dances with Wolves
is an epic.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a masterpiece. It's the amount of cultural research, historical research, writing, acting, set design, like everything that went into that. Plus, it's a very interesting, compelling story. Like, it's way more interesting than Goodfellas and The Godfather.
Yeah.
It's a way nicer movie to watch. Sorry. Anyways, go ahead.
You're right. It's long, though, isn't it? Aren't they all really long movies?
I think it's, like, just about 3 hours, but
yeah,
you couldn't have done it in 2 hours. I think that deserved it.
So the next question is, which we have definitely covered on this before, but just in case you've missed it, a film that made you fall in love with cinema. I think you've said before that was Arrival.
I was just going to say, yeah, it had all the elements that were presented to me in such a way, like, I'll just outline them, like, what stood out for me that I had never noticed before. So there was a lot of interesting, like the score was incredibly interesting. It was with a lot of really strange instruments.
I think it won it for that year for the score. I love that score. It's so creepy, like, yet comfortable.
What it is it's meant to make you feel both of those things at the same time, because it's mimicking whale song to myself. Like, that's what I relate it to. There's a lot of use of light and shadow, but also the color gray. Like, if you were looking through a filter at this movie, the filter would be gray. Mm-hmm. The set design is really impressive because, like, this is absolutely what I would think that military base would look like. There's just, the concept is there. The acting is next level in that it's like, you're not putting on a performance. I feel like they're embodying these characters. Arrival. Yeah. Those are the reasons why I love that movie. That was, like, I think you said to me, let's watch this, I think you'll like it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh my fucking god, this movie. That's probably my favorite movie in terms of, like, a cinematic masterpiece.
I highly recommend checking out our honorable mention, which is why it's our first honorable mention that we ever did, because it was like, we have to talk about this, but it's not on the list. What? So we have an avenue to talk about those things.
Also, go watch
listening to that.
It's amazing. Go watch it.
I would say, this is very similar to the question of what's your favorite film. Mine is Titanic. And because when I watched that when it came out in the 90s, and I remember asking my mum, I'm just like, how on earth did they make this thing? And she's like, I don't know, a big swimming pool. And I'm like, I don't understand, like, how they... Which it basically is the correct answer. They had the world's largest swimming pool to be able to do this. They created a set that tips, like a ship that tips. Yeah. That's another movie that I would highly recommend looking at the bonus content, just because it's an incredible production.
It makes you appreciate it that much more.
And James Cameron wrote it. And I used to write a lot of short stories, and I'm just like, how do you write a story like this? Like, obviously it's based in reality, but the characters aren't real.
I was going to say the Rose and Jack love story. Yeah.
And to be able to write it in such a way that it captures the hearts of an entire world, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
People love this movie in these. Yeah, so it was very inspiring. Not to get into film, but to write stories and be able to tell stories and art.
And I just want to say that people love it not just because of Leo, okay?
I like it from the historical drama.
I know, but people always say, it's overrated, Leo DiCaprio.
I remember someone telling me that it was a chick flick, and I'm like, this isn't a chick flick.
This is a historical epic. People definitely consider it a chick flick, and that's why I'm saying what I just said.
It's like, so not a chick flick.
Because
it's got romantic elements in it doesn't make it a chick flick.
No. That movie, until I think the last time we saw it, it would make me cry every time. Because it was I still love it. Touching.
I stand by the fact that is my favorite movie of all time. I could still watch it over and over again, and I still get those goosebumps at all those notes.
Yes.
Even though I know, like, you go into that movie knowing that the ship's going to sink, and you still feel for it, because it's like, holy shit, look at this. Some of the visuals in that movie are incredible and chilling.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, that is definitely my answer for that. Now that I've thought about it more, I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely my answer. A film that cheers you up. Yours is definitely Tangled. We've spoken about Tangled quite a bit, but there's a reason why you keep coming back to that movie, and you said it cheers
Forrest
you up
Gump.
a lot.
And Forrest
Gump.
Gump.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is, I don't know, a film that cheers you up. When I'm sick or I don't really want to do anything, I usually just chuck on silly animated movies. But I don't know if any of them actually cheers me up. I was watching Bolt just because it was on TV.
Yeah.
It's not really a good answer.
Yeah.
I do like The Martian because I think that if that movie were real, that would be the single greatest accomplishment of the human race. To be able to save someone who was living on Mars for so long, that makes me feel good by the end of that movie. I think that's an incredible story of perseverance and the use of science. I think it's even depicted even better in the book, but what you do see in the movie is incredible. I don't really have a go-to answer for that one. That's my best answer.
Yep.
Your favorite film of last year?
I, Tonya.
Really?
I really liked I, Tonya. I liked it better than A Star is Born. Like, I really liked A Star is Born. But it made me so sad that it's kind of tainted it for me. Which isn't the fault of the movie. It's kind of my own stuff. But, like, I severely enjoyed I, Tonya. And 3 Billboards. But I think I, Tonya, I liked her character. I liked how it broke the fourth wall a lot. There were just a lot of elements that I just really enjoyed about I, Tonya.
3 Billboards was good. Was that last year or the year before?
That was last year.
It was last year, okay. I'm trying to think what else. Solo came out last year.
Ooh, I really like that too. I still stand by I, Tonya.
There's quite a lot. A lot of people don't like Solo, but I liked it.
A lot of people can suck.
There's not a lot else that really affected anything last year. There's a lot of just nonsense. Mission Impossible Fallout was good, but I wouldn't say
Force Awakens was last. Oh no, Force Awakens was the year before that.
Yeah, you hated Force Awakens. That was 2015.
No, what's the next one?
The Last Jedi. Again, people hate that as well, more than The Force Awakens. People are all over the place.
Oh yeah, I do hate
These are my
The Force
opinions,
Awakens.
man. Fuck you.
I didn't mind The Last Jedi, but there was stuff like, what the fuck is that in there for? What is the alien udder in there for? That is gross.
I don't know.
That is gross. Anyways.
I haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but I think that might be if I had seen it.
I was gonna say we've got to go see that.
Yeah, we really do. A film where you practically know the whole script. If you asked me this 10 years ago, it would absolutely be Shrek. I've seen that movie like 100 times, and I could... There's a scene in I Am Legend where Will Smith is watching Shrek, and he's doing all the voices because he knows all the words, and I'm like, that's me. I can do funny. That. I used to do that when I was a kid because I always put it on. Yeah, probably Shrek when I was a kid. I don't know. Actually, surprisingly, these days, Lord of the Rings. We were watching Lord of the Rings for the podcast, and I knew entire scenes because I've seen that so many times.
Interestingly enough, even over Tangled, and we were just talking about this, Chocolat.
Really?
I've seen that movie so many times.
I saw it once, and I feel so bored by it. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
I remember Judi Dench and Johnny Depp are in it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway. I went through a phase where I watched a lot of Johnny Depp movies in the early 2000s because my older sister had the biggest crush on him. She used to cut pictures of him out of magazines, and she had a Johnny Depp folder, and it had sleeves in it. I know, right? Well, you say that with the look on your face, like I did that too.
No. Okay. Mine was Nick Jonas.
Obviously, I wasn't talking about Johnny Depp. But we went to the video store and came home with a stack of weekly movies that were all Johnny Depp, and we binged watched them over a week, a bunch of times each, and they weren't even good movies. And Chocolat was in there, so that's what I think of when I think of early Johnny Depp movies.
Yep.
Next question. Your favorite director? My answer would be I have a lot of appreciation for Steven Spielberg, but I don't think that he's my favorite. I love the work of Christopher Nolan, and he's a big go-to for that answer these days. But again, his films, I don't ever rush back to seeing. Tarantino's doing very different things. He always has. Again, I wouldn't say him as my favorite director. Probably someone like Alejandro Inarritu or Alfonso Cuarón. Probably Alfonso Cuarón, actually, is my favorite director.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't say Christopher Nolan.
Again, I really like his work, but as a director, I would probably pick him. As liking his films, I would say Alfonso Cuarón. I don't know, they're such at par. Like they're doing their own things extraordinarily.
They're both contemporary and they're both on the cutting edge, so it's hard. And they've both made a lot of really good stuff that's like similar but so different. Like it's the same level of awesome for different reasons is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And there's a few people in that boat that are playing these days, but I could probably name up to 30 big directors, but those are the ones that I'm willing to name right now.
I don't feel like I can give a good answer to this question.
Okay.
I think from the stuff that I know that he has directed, and I think I would like it, I think Bradley Cooper is actually...
He's only done one movie.
No, he hasn't.
Directing, yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it was only one.
Never mind. No, I thought he did more than A Star is Born.
Oh. I don't think so. You go, we'll move on.
I'm just thinking. Just hold on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not, again, This is one where I'm not educated enough to give
that's fine.
Good answer.
I think one of the worst directors that I don't like his work is Robert Rodriguez, which I've mentioned before, or the Wachowski siblings. Oh, you know who I don't like? Tim Burton.
Yeah, I don't like Tim Burton.
Like, the way he approaches remakes even. I know people are like, well, forget his remakes. Go for his original stuff. And he's done some good original stuff. Not in the last 26 years.
He's definitely one of those where you either love him or hate him.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, fucking love him or really don't like his stuff.
Like, the stuff that he's touched, it's just like, stop touching that. What are you doing that like that for?
I understand his flavor, and I understand why people like gravitate towards it, but it's just not for you or me. Like, I know it's just not our thing.
Well, as long as you stay in your wheelhouse and you stick to your properties, right? I mean, that's what people argue against, right? But when you touch something that you're trying to do a remake of, and you're like, I didn't like the original, so I'm going to do it completely different.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. You did it with Planet of the Apes. You did it with Alice in Wonderland, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I think he did okay with Alice.
He did it with something else as well.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was right on the fence. I think he did well, actually, with... Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I think he did okay with Alice in Wonderland.
I just don't like the storyline of, like... They do this a lot where it's like, we're not going to do a remake, we're going to do years later, and then the character comes back. I hate those, right? This is what the Alice in Wonderland was. It was like, Alice is grown up now, and then she goes back to Wonderland. They did it with Peter Pan in Hook. They did it with Tarzan in the latest Tarzan movie. They do this with Christopher Robin in Winnie the Pooh. It's like, they're adult now, they're going to go back. And I'm like, they never make good movies. That's probably the biggest thing I don't like about Alice in Wonderland.
It's like, rather come back with something original.
Yeah, or do a good revamp of it. I would prefer a better revamp, a live-action version of the
like
the
what
classic.
Disney's doing.
I would prefer that than, like, a...
Peter Pan like 2, where they came back and did, like, with Jane instead of Wendy.
Well, it's basically like doing the live-action version of Lion King 2, but not the first one, because it's like, Simba's grown up now. And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't like those storylines where they have to come back like that. Anyway, that was our favorite director. Your favorite film from your childhood?
Mine was Bambi.
Really?
When I was a little kid, I loved Bambi. And I also really liked Sleeping Beauty.
Okay.
I watched a lot of Disney Masterpiece stuff. So like I just remember I liked Sleeping Beauty because honestly, even though she was a bit terrifying, I liked Maleficent, and that's why I fucking love Maleficent, like the new movie. That's one that I really enjoyed, that I was like, why are they remaking this? And it was done, I'll stand by this, they incorporated elements of the original movie because it's going along the same timeline. It was done really well. I really liked that. But yeah, so to answer that question, when I was little, like when really little, I watched Bambi all the damn time.
I would think probably something like 101 Dalmatians for me. See, growing up in the 90s, you would think that I would say stuff like The Lion King or Pocahontas or Mulan, Tarzan, Hunchback of Notre Dame, those sort of things, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. But I do like Lion King, and I've seen it a lot, but my favorite movie of my childhood, I was a big fan of Rugrats. Because that movie that TV series went for 9 seasons, and it sparked a series of movies. So when the Rugrats movie came out, I was like, holy shit. I remember going to school and bugging people, being like, have you seen the Rugrats movie yet? Oh my god, have you seen this? Like, no, stop what you're talking about and go watch the Rugrats movie.
Mom, yeah. I want that Reptar car, Mom.
Oh, the reptile car, the car in that movie. I watched it recently, and I'm like, it's good. But when I was a kid, it was like, I also was a big fan of The Simpsons, and when The Simpsons movie came out, I was like, holy shit. And it was a little disappointing, to be honest. But that was the same mentality where I was so hyped to go see this because I was such a fan of the series.
Actually,
I think that Rugrats movie came out in like 98 or something, but I was like, holy shit.
I was also, okay, so those other movies I talked about for when I was really little, when I was a bit older and in school, I was nuts about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like, yep. I remember we used to, at school, if you got Student of the Month, I don't know how they fucking picked people, but they'd give you a little movie pass, because I lived up in a small town where we only had one theater, right? And so you could get a movie pass, and you could, like, it's a free ticket to go to the movies. And I got mine, and I said, Dad, I want you to come to Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban with me. And I think he fell asleep in it, but I was just, like, so hyped, because I'm like, my dad's coming with me, and I get to go to the movie, and I want it, and I'm such a good kid, and woo! And it was...
That was the last movie I saw in the drive-in theater.
It was... I remember, like... I love that movie, but the first time I saw it was fucking terrifying to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's interesting to me, because I think I was 8 or 9, because I think that was grade 3. So I was pretty little still to see that. And that's actually a trend. Like, a lot of those movies, because I remember the first time I saw Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I was with my nan.
That's got some creepy scenes
Edmonton.
in it too.
Well, it was the unwrapping of the turban at the end. That gave me a bit of nightmares. And so, like, I find it interesting that I was still so drawn to those stories and those movies, even though they scared the living shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot in there, like the giant spider in Chamber of Secrets and the basilisk.
That didn't
like, there's
creep me
a
out
lot.
as much. I don't know why. Yeah, I found that fascinating. I don't know. Also, I'm just going to go back to the Rugrats real quick. The second movie that came out, they went to Rugrats in Paris. I must have seen that up to 100 times within a month. We would play it and then stop it and then play it again. And that was one of the years it came out just before Easter. And I remember getting that on VHS because I'm pretty sure we didn't get chocolate that year because my mum couldn't afford it. So she bought us VHS of Rugrats in Paris. And we lost our minds. I remember jumping on the couch because we saw this. And Nickelodeon had the orange VHS tapes.
Yep.
A lot of people knew about the orange VHS tapes. I'm like, this is so cool. Oh my God. So I didn't really care that we didn't get chocolate because we watched that over and over and over. You have to rewind it and then start it again.
Your poor mum.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I am Reptar. Yeah.
So that's a movie that I can quote word for word. We watched that recently, and I'm like, I actually remember a lot of these scenes a lot. Yeah. And there's a lot of inside jokes that I'm like, I didn't get that, or I had no idea what he was saying for years, and now I understand it. Rugrats was definitely one of my favorite movies.
It's funny because Disney especially does a lot of, like, they make their movies just as much for the parents who are taking their kids to see it as the kids. Yeah. And it's funny to me because, like,
I think Pixar's
my
very
dad...
good at that.
Yeah. When my dad can't sleep, that's what he does, is he just chucks on, like, a kid's show. Because he's like, I still find it funny, you know?
Well, that's why I watch it when I'm sick. I always go
Like,
to an animated movie because you don't have to think. It's nice.
I think it's funny because Dad's go-to for when he can't sleep is A Bug's Life.
Okay.
He's probably seen it like 100 times.
That was the first movie that I can remember going in cinemas. And that was 98.
Yeah.
No, it was earlier than that, I think. 97? I don't know. That is 10 questions out of 30. Would you like to stop, save, have lunch, continue this? What do you want to do? We could break this into 3 parts quite nicely.